us are intentional, whether we know it or not. I mean, we have reasons why we do what we do. And the only way to really follow God is to be intentionally mindful. As it says in the scripture in Colossians, set your heart on things above. Set your mind on things above, not on things on this earth. And which is difficult. But there is a choice. To follow God is a choice. And we're reading this book in our cell groups called Crazy Love, and it says in one of the chapters that sometimes God just gets the leftover time. He doesn't get our first place. He doesn't get our heart intentions, our initial heart intentions. How many, if you haven't heard from your kids for a while, when do you hear from your kids?
When they need something.
When they need something. You know what I'm talking about. Hey, Dad! Hey, Mom! Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? We treat God the same way. When things are, quote, okay, we don't have great intentions towards them. But when all hell is breaking loose, all of a sudden, God, I need you! I'm getting serious with you! But then when the moment passes, and the moments pass, so in that it does not make for a very good walk with God, that's for sure. We kind of, early on in my Christian life, someone says that we're roller coaster Christians. We go up with God, and then we go down, because we kind of lose sight of Him. Then we go up. How many want to get off the roller coaster? Unless you really enjoy the coasters and getting shaken around, your life getting all weirded out. If things aren't buttoned down, everything flies off the coaster, you know. Eli Wiesel, he was a Jewish man in the concentration camps. He survived the concentration camps. He says, when you die and you go to meet your Maker, you're not going to be asked why you didn't become a Messiah, why you didn't save the world, or find a cure for cancer. All you're going to be asked is, why did you become you? Why didn't you become all that you are? God has made each of us with a design and a purpose. Some of us use God because I want Him to help me with my purposes. Have you ever gone there? That's not what this is saying. God made you, you. The question is, who is the real you? Have you found that real you yet? Sometimes we're looking for that out there somewhere. Jesus says the kingdom of God is within you. Who are you really? I believe we find who we really are. We connect with our God-given purpose. We connect with who God really created us to become. Reaching your God-given potential requires taking responsibility for yourself in your life. It means taking an active leadership role with yourself. In most every other area of life, everything is intentional. At work, if we weren't intentional, we'd never produce anything. Oh, whatever it gets done, it'll get done. That's the way work is. That's the way this world is. But when it comes to our relationships, when it comes to a relationship with husband and wife. Unless we prepare and work at our relationships, things go bad. Unless we prepare and know how to really raise our children intentionally, we're just putting fires out all the time and not growing our kids. The same thing with our relationship with God. This is an intentional. We need to take an active leadership role. Intentional means you're purposeful in word and action. It means you live a life that's meaningful and fulfilling. It means you make thoughtful choices in your life. Being intentional means you actively interact and engage with your life. You wake up every day and ask yourself, how am I going to make this day great? What's it mean? It means growing. It means not doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Some of us live, well, maybe it'll work this time. You ever tried to do that on a diet, losing weight? I'll just do the same thing as I always done and hope that I lose weight. We know that's an impossible task. Intention. Obviously, all of you intended to come out today. It's cold. Who wanted to wipe the snow off your car unless you get her in the garage? You had to put on your, well, you probably had to look in the mirror first to make sure that things were sort of together, at least as well as you know how to put them together. Put on your coat, put on your shoes, put on, do the whole routine, wipe the snow off the car, get in here. God, make this a good reason that we've come today, not just going through the motions. Speak to us, God. Open our hearts. You want us to grow? Help us grow. We don't know how to do this thing. Forgive us when we think we know how to do it. We don't know how to do life. We don't know how to do relationships. We don't know how to do marriages. We don't know how to raise our kids well. We don't know how to follow you. We don't even know how to hear your voice sometimes. We think we kind of knew sometimes, but we don't, God. Frederick Buechner says there are all different kinds of voices calling you to all different kinds of work and directions in life. How many know that? There are voices. If you ask advice, don't be surprised what comes through the door. Ask your family, they'll tell you one thing on how to make decisions. You ask your person at work, they'll tell you another way. There's all sorts of voices in this world. And the problem is to find out which is the voice of God rather than of society or the superego, that's our pride, or self-interest, which is just about me life. How do we discern the voice of God?
Superego is the conscience in Freudian terms.
This story is about Nehemiah. It's in Nehemiah chapter 1, and I would like us, this is the passage today, Nehemiah. He was a Jewish man. He was exiled. He was not in Jerusalem. But his heart was still with the Jewish people. How do we find out what God's vision is for my life? Let's just pause. Let's pray. Let's ask God to reveal his vision to our life, to our marriage, to who we are. God, would you speak to us? We come to you. Just like you spoke to Nehemiah, you spoke to Moses, you spoke to Paul. You spoke to Paul in such a way that there was no way he couldn't hear it. Would you speak to us in such a way that we are shaken and that we would know your voice and your plan for our life, and that we would have a passion and a desire to follow you. Lord, I'm expecting great things because you're a great God. Nehemiah small writing back there for you. Hope you can read it. And I should make my writing bigger. The Memoirs of Nehemiah, son of Halkali. It was the month of Kislev in the 20th year. At the time I was in the palace complex of Susa. Hanani, one of my brothers, had just arrived from Judah with some fellow Jews. I asked them about the conditions among the Jews there who had survived the exile, about Jerusalem. There was a bunch of people that came into Jerusalem and drove out the people from Jerusalem. And the walls of Jerusalem just got, there were walls. It was a walled city to keep the enemy out. The walls were knocked down. The people were driven out. The Jews were scattered. It was a very difficult time. And Nehemiah was probably one of those that had left. He had found a home in another place, on another occasion. He was wondering, how is Jerusalem? And they told me the exile survivors who are left there in the province are in bad shape. Conditions are appalling. The wall of Jerusalem is still rubble. The city gates are still cinders. And look what happens. When I heard this, I sat down and wept. I mourned for days, fasting and praying before the God of heaven. One way that you and I can know what God's call is on our heart. This is an indicator. It's not the indication. One way that you can know what God's call is in your heart. What breaks your heart? What moves you? What moves your heart to the point where you can't even eat? What moves you? That you're so broken. What moves you? What affects you? What gives you extreme joy? What excites you? What breaks your heart? There's a key there to what motivates you. There's a key there to something that is in the DNA of who you are. And what he heard about is the people in Jerusalem. It broke him. It shattered him. You know, all you got to do is turn the news on or get the paper or whatever. There's some tragedy that happened to somebody today. And some of us, I don't know, that tragedy it doesn't affect me. But all of a sudden, you read one tragedy somewhere out there, or something that happens, and it affects you, it breaks you. Like if you, let's say, I've seen this, I'll give you an example of this with women who've been sexually abused. They read about someone that's sexually abused in the paper. It breaks their heart again. It just rips their heart apart. And what does that mean? There's a passion there. They hate abuse. They want to help people. They know the pain of that. And there's something there. We understand this. Oftentimes it's the people that have abused drugs are the people that, if they get healing, are the ones that help others in that area. Why they have a passion for that? Because it's gone down to the deep place of their life. Out of brokenness. Can anything good come out of brokenness? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's some bad lessons you can learn. Like I've had some women that go back to have been abused again. I hate men and I don't want anything to do with them. That's the wrong lesson. I hate men and I never want to deal with men anymore. No, it's the wrong lesson. If you go really deep with this, you know the man who abuses is a hurting man too. Hurting people hurt people. Right? hurting people hurt people and are easily hurt by people. Hurting people hurt people and are easily hurt by other people. So this just messed him up. Have you ever had things that just mess you up? Now, each of us have things that messed us down. I'm talking about messing us up. You get messed up. You get messed up in a good way that it actually launches you into something good. There is, Bill Hybel calls it a holy discontent. I think a lot of us in life want to be content. How many want to be content? Have peace? Absolute peace and contentment? Everything just fine? You know what the problem with that is that we get bored and we get lackadaisical and we don't have a fire in our belly. Right? That's the problem with being content. There's something like it's called a holy discontent where God will stir you to the point where you are stirred to action, to do something positive, to make a difference. That's the call of God. That's a part of the call of God in someone's life. It caused him to pray, and this is one of his prayers. God of heaven, the great and the awesome God, loyal to his covenant and faithful to those who love him and obey his commands. Look at me and listen to me. Have you ever said that? God! Look to me! Listen to me! I need you! I can't hear you! It's like you left me. Where are you? Have you ever gotten that passionate about it? That's a good thing. Don't pout away from God. That ain't going to work. You ever get all pouty? You're on your pity potty? I mean, that you won't get anywhere that way. That's the culture war. You're getting God's face. I mean, God already knows what's going on. It's that we are responding and actually wanting to connect with him. Look to me, listen to me. Pay attention to this prayer of your servant that I'm praying day and night in intercession for your servants. This guy's messed up. All of a sudden he's praying day and night. It appears before this he wasn't praying day and night. He wasn't all messed up. But something is stirring within this man. The people of Israel. I'm praying for the people of Israel, confessing the sins of the people of Israel, and including myself, and I and my ancestors among those who have sinned against you. Okay? He says, a lot of people have sinned. And he's come forward and said, I've sinned. If we plan to get back with God, if we plan to connect with God, the first call is to admit that I'm not following him. I've sinned. How many know this? If you really plan to connect with God, and you really want to follow God, and you want God to be real in your life, how many know that if you continue to go the same direction, why would he bless your life unless you want to say, God, I want to go your direction? How many know that? How many know that you know you're going to live like the devil and you really don't want to follow God anyway, so why should I pray because I really don't have a heart towards God anyway. Right? I really don't have a heart towards God anyway. Why would he listen to me? Why would I call out to his name? Because I really aren't following him. I don't intend to follow him. The first call is the call of humility. That we come to him and say, God, I really want to follow you. I've sinned. I've gone the wrong. I'm doing my own thing. It's about I want what I want when I want it. That's the first. That's what I see in this passage. That's the first call. He goes on. We've treated you like dirt. Have you seen that? God, we just treated you. Have you seen that in your own life? Where the light bulbs come on, you say, I really don't. Life's kind of about me and my stuff. dirt. I treated God, you like dirt. I treated other people like dirt. And if you don't see that, just ask God, make it clear to me where I'm at. We haven't done what you told us, haven't followed your commands, and haven't respected the decisions you gave to Moses, your servant. And he's coming home. All the same, remember the warning you posted to your servant. If you betray me, I'll scatter you to the four winds. That's what happened to the people of Israel. That's why the walls got broken. The people of Israel turned their back on God, and God allowed people to come in, other people to come in and destroy Jerusalem and knock the walls down, and the people were driven out. If you betray me, I'll scatter you to the four winds. But if you come back to me and do what I tell you, I'll gather up those scattered people from wherever they ended up and put them back in the place I chose to mark with my name. Well, there they are, your servants, your people, whom you so powerfully and impressively redeemed. Okay, he says, okay, they've come back to you, God. How's come the walls are in the same condition? God, I'm coming back to you. Will you live up to your bargain? I want to follow you now, God. It's time for you to do your work. That's what he's saying. Oh, Master, listen to me. Listen to your servant's prayer. And yes, to all your servants to delight in honoring you. Oh, God, make that our delight, to honor you. And make me successful today so that I can get what I want from the king. There's a huge deal. What do you want? What do you really want? What do you want? This guy wants what God wants. He wants to want to get back with God and God to use him. And what's stirring within him is this vision. And then he says, I'm going to go to the king. And if you keep reading in Nehemiah, he went to the king and said, I want to go back and help rebuild the wall. Now, he was a kind of an important guy. You know what a cupbearer is? I was cupbearer to the king. You know what a cupbearer is?
Means you taste the food.
Okay, the king as the king is, somebody else had to drink the wine and eat the food before the king would drink the wine and eat the food, because if he keeled over and died, the king won't eat it. So he was a trusted dude. He was next to the king, and the king had to trust him, because he could have said, yeah, I ate it, and then put poison in the food to the king. I mean, he could do that, right? He could do a switcheroo. So he was major trusted. So he went to the king, in chapters right after this, he says, I'm going to go to Jerusalem and rebuild the wall. What do you think he knows about rebuilding a wall? He's a cupbearer to the king. He knows nothing about construction. And this is a guy from the outside trying to gather the people that are already in Jerusalem together, that are there where the walls are torn down. Boy, that's a mighty task. Have you ever tried to do this? Go into a group that you guys don't know and try to lead them? Hello, they don't know. Who are you? Why should we follow you? That's what happened. And God used him mightily. It was God broke his heart. I like this quote by Frederick Buechner. The place God calls you is the place where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. What excites you and what meets a real need out there. Where your deep gladness and the world's deep hunger meet. It would please him tremendously if the walls would have gotten rebuilt. That's his deep gladness, but there's a deep hunger there, a deep need in the world. Both of that has to meet. Unless we have a deep passion and a hunger for it, we don't have the will to do it, do we? If you really don't want to do it, you ain't going to do it. Oh, it's a good idea, but I ain't doing it. Oh yeah, that's nice. But it's not me. Have you ever had that one? That's a bunch of good ideas, but I can't follow that. I don't have a passion for that. He gave his whole life away. That's where that deep gladness, that brokenness, that excitement is in our life. That's the energy that's going to see us through the bad times. And when there's a deep hunger, it's going to be a need. I kind of like it. Passion. What are your passion and interests? What are your abilities and skills? And what's the needs of the society? In that area where they all cross, right in there, is where your purpose is. Totally agree. I like this quote. It was a couple of Sundays ago we looked at this quote. Everyone's driven by the need to fill their life with meaning. Sometimes this need is articulated clearly and that a purpose emerges that leads to a sense of direction and a sense of mission. Most times it's not. So the void is filled with action. So what are we going to do? Well, I need to get a job. We need to do this. The void's filled with action. People have kids, get mortgages, raise families, pay bills, go to work each day without asking why. Action fills the void nicely, makes each day feel tiring, but without a sense of purpose, without a sense of vision. It leads to a pattern of behavior that doesn't lead anywhere. Most times we die before we realize this. I'm talking about God's purpose for your life. Not this whole, part of God's purpose may be the job that you have. I'm not saying that. Sometimes that's really not it. Maybe a part, it sort of. Like I have a business. My passion isn't my business. It's me going into these different places that I have, because I go into a lot of different places, see a lot of different people. I get to talk to people. I get to encourage people. I get to go around. That's my purpose. I have people coming up to me at different places because they kind of know who I am by now because I've been in and out of there. I have a contract with these companies. Sometimes they say, can you pray about this? Or I see someone and I just go right over to them. This one fella, he was just bent over. I don't know, normally he's kind of happy. But he was bent over at this table. And I went over to him and I said, how are you doing? I said, I just want to encourage you. And I began to talk to him about his, I don't know, I just sensed that I needed to talk to him and encourage him about his life. And there's a plan for him. He came to me a couple days later. Said he was at a point where he was needing to quit this particular job and find another job. And he said that really helped him. I don't know if that company wants to do that kind of thing. but he thanked me, and I knew he was a believer. And so I was able to pray with him during that, because he came up to me one time. It was probably 2 months prior to that, and said, you're just happy all the time. Why are you so happy? I said, I don't know if you understand this or not, it's because God's in my heart. He says, I thought so. I'm a Christian too. And that's how we started to connect. But that's my purpose. If it's just about making money and about building my business, it's I don't know, it doesn't excite my heart. That's not it. The important question is to help you to serve God's call. ever tried to follow somebody else's dream? Somebody else's vision? Could be even in a marriage. Could be at work. Could be in a church. You're not really in tune with it. The dream isn't the one that excites your heart. Like, we have a vision here that it's about relationships. That's the said vision that we have here. If you're not into relationships, this could be a tough place for you. You just want to kind of come in and out. People are going to talk to you. We want you to connect with others. We believe that we're this person right here, and God has reached out to us, and that and eventually what God wants to do is create this in us so that we reach out to others. This is the vision. It's about helping other people. It's about loving God. It's about being honest with one another and helping each other. That's the vision around here. If that doesn't resonate within you, this is a difficult place for you. Because it's not your dream. What's your vision? What's your dream? If it doesn't involve that, this is really difficult. I hear the little kids in there. Part of what excites Glenda is she loves little kids. That's why she's in there. It's not because she's got boundless energy. Some of us, we would try to go in there with them little kids. We'd be drained by the end and say, I don't want to do this no more. I like little kids, but this ain't for me. You know what I'm talking about? You know, some of it might be a musical gift, but it's all about relationships. What excites you? What fans